All right. So I will give these to the floor, but just as a reminder, for anyone on or not on our team, first Tuesday of the month, Brand Realty always does a mastermind and market update. So we're happy you guys are here. And George and Josh, I'm going to hand it over to you guys.
Yeah, awesome. Josh, can you start? I'm got plumbers at my house, so I'm trying to get caught up. I got a leak coming through my ceiling.
Yep, absolutely. I can definitely do that. You guys can hear me. It seems that everyone is freezing up when I'm looking at the screen. So if you can't hear me, just let me know. But for all of you who don't know me, my name is Josh Jelsing. I'm the loan officer and owner at PGS Home Loans. Our office is right down the road from your guys' office, so not that far away at all. Can you all still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So number one, just want to go over a market update really quick. I wanted to touch on two things. One, interest rates, what's been going on because it's been really chaotic over the last month. Touch a little on what we expect to happen over the next 2 or 3 months. And then also, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with how interest rates change, but there's a lot of really bad information out there. And as real estate agents, when you're passing word on to your clients, it's nice to be able to speak intelligently about interest rates, how they work, and maybe debunk some of the things that you're telling your clients, which might be keeping them from trying to buy a home. Okay. I mean, clients are their own worst enemies so many times, and or so often, I should say, and they find things on the internet, which we know how reliable that is in the real estate world. So I wanted to go over a couple of those things, just to make sure you guys knew. So let's talk about interest rates first. I'm going to share my screen. Let me make sure I'm getting to the right page first before I share it. Okay, cool. So what I'm sharing right now, I can't share it with you because I literally just got locked out of my own account, which is unfortunate. Hold on 1 second, you guys. Sorry, hold on 1 second. Taylor, call over to MBS as me and get my account unlocked. Okay, sorry about that. So interest rates, all last month, in fact, starting on May 10th, they started getting much worse almost every single day. Interest rates went from 6.25 on a conventional 30-year fixed rate loan, all the way up to 7.25 if you're buying a condo.
Hey, Josh, we can't hear you, bud.
Reaction will subside and we'll start seeing rates improve slightly because of that. Also because of the fallout from the SVB and the other regional banks that collapsed. What happened is those banks, the feds, the federal government, took those treasuries and bonds that those banks held, and they had to disperse them out in the market. That caused a flooding of the market of mortgage-backed securities and treasuries, which caused rates to go up. And then the third thing was the fact that so many people were now able to get money or receive, invest their funds into CDs, money market accounts, and get 4, 5, 6, even 7%. I heard in some situations, but they're taking their money out of the bonds and treasuries. And when they do that, those bonds and treasuries go back on the market, which caused the flood of bonds and treasuries even more, causing rates to go up. So 2 out of 3 are basically done. And we're hoping that over the next 30 days, we're going to see a consistent improvement of rates. We already were experiencing 3 days in a row as of last Friday. And then I don't know if you guys watch the news at all, but OPEC and the Saudis decided that they're going to decrease their production of oil, which will cause oil prices to go back up. So you guys will be stoked to hear that your gas prices are going to be a little higher. And that's inflationary, and the bond market reacted to that over the last couple of days. Long story. there was a jobs report that came out, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, but interest rates go up and down every single day based on economic news, right? And one of the major points is going to be job creation and the job news, right? This past week came out, there's a blockbuster report, 380,000 jobs were created. Interest rates didn't like that. They worsened over the last day or two. That's going to pass. All of the indicators moving forward are showing that the job market is softening quite a bit. Banks are putting on, or not banks, but employers are putting on hiring freezes. They're letting people go. You just saw that the employment number went from 3.4 to like 3.7, literally in one report. Once we start seeing, and this, it stinks to say, but it's a reality. Once we start seeing these jobs numbers worsen consistently, and these inflation reports are going to continue to come out improving, you're going to see interest rates drop down. We're still hoping and crossing our fingers that we're going to be in the low fives by the end of the year. So everything's going to be, based on the reports that come out, but that is where all the industry experts that we listen to think rates will be going. So low fives isn't going to be enough for the people that have a 2.75, 2.5, 2.25, VA 30-year fixed rate loan or a conventional 3% rate. Low fives isn't going to be enough for people that don't have to sell their home to cause them to sell their home and move and go buy something else, taking on a higher rate, taking on higher property taxes. What it's going to cause, which so many of the people that we listen to think, is that it's going to cause an even higher demand and home prices are going to go up. If you guys are watching the news at all and seeing any of the major economic companies, they're all adjusting their forecasts for how much home prices are going to appreciate this year. The reports are just now starting to come out. So if you guys see those reports, pay attention to them, read them, listen to them, because you can pass that information on to your buyers and your sellers. We've got Barry Habib over the MBS Highway. He's kind of our number one guy that we listen to. Another guy, Dan Rowich, is another guy. They are both predicting that we're going to get 6%, maybe even 7% appreciation nationwide this year alone. So I don't know if you guys are still talking to people that think that the home prices or home prices are going to drop, but it's just not. Every single economic indicator out there is showing otherwise. Any questions on rates?
So if I'm dumbing this down for, myself not being an expert in any way on the market, right? I lean on you guys basically. When people are saying, I'm going to wait until prices come down. We think there's a bubble. We think there's going to be, there's a recession coming and prices just have to go down. It's way too much. What is your dummies, your real estate market for dummies explanation to that buyer? I would love some verbiage.
Can you guys hear me?
No, we
Yes.
couldn't. hear you.
Okay,
No.
Tulane, I lost you that whole second half. You said prices talk about there being a bubble and prices coming down. Then you went.
Buyers are saying there's a recession, prices have to come down. We're going to wait. We think prices are too high.
No.
What's the dummy way to explain to them? Because of course we ask questions. Tell me more about that. What makes you say that, right?
Yep.
But ultimately we need to provide a dummy way of telling them without using big words, right?
Yep.
What does that sound like?
Yeah, it's very simple. If we just so we always have to take emotions out of decision making, and you have to look at the facts and you have to look at history, right? That's number one. No, the very first question, I'm like, okay, what makes you think that? What data are you looking at that makes you think that? That's a pretty simple question to ask. And number two, when it comes to recessions, and I'm going to get the charts for you guys. When it comes to recessions, real estate always does well. There's the one time with the Great Recession, not the Great Depression, but the Great Recession in 2008, where real estate didn't do so well. That's because real estate literally caused that recession, right? But every other recession in history, real estate is either done, okay, or is done really well. And the reason for that is interest rates, you always drop during a recession. Why do they drop during a recession? Because interest rates are based on economic data. The worse the data gets, the lower rates go. Think about during the pandemic, when rates got down to 2.75% for a conventional 30-year fixed rate loan. In fact, I remember locking in one at 2.5. There's one day where we get 2.5% on a conventional 30-year fixed rate loan. That's when the entire world was shutting down. That was creating some pretty bad economic data. And same thing with any other mini recession that we've had along the way. Real estate does well, and the lower the rates go, the more hysteria around real estate there will be. I'm gonna get the graph. I've made videos in the past on this topic, and I've got graphs for you, but I'm going to update those graphs and I'll send them out to you guys for sure.
I also just heard you explain why when rates are high, prices will still be high, because less and less sellers are going to want to sell and
Yep.
go buy something in the new high rate. So there's less inventory. And that also means there's more value placed on the homes that are being sold. So, you know, those are two reasons. Basically, just go ahead and buy regardless
Yep.
of what's happening.
Before everybody jumped on, I read this to Chris Watt, and it's a video that I put a script together. I'm turning a video, but here's the gist of it. It says 30 years ago, the median home price in San Diego County was $175,000, $175K in 1993. And in 2023, the median home price was $815,000. That's a $640,000 increase in 30 years, which equals an average of $21,000 in appreciation gained each year. Over the last 30 years, we've survived a housing market collapse and a worldwide pandemic. Do you really think home prices are going to stop going up? Like we finally got to that point where it's just going to stop? Of course not. And then here's the crazy part. Do you realize that if home prices only go up 2%, just 2% appreciation per year, over the next 10 years, the median home price will go from $815,000 to $974,000. That's just 2%. And I think people need to stop living in a fantasy land where they think home prices are going to drop for some reason. It's not going to. If rates go up to 7.25% and they're still not dropping, even if they do drop, it's only going to be temporary until rates go down again.
Why are buyers so convinced that a recession is going to bring prices down?
Because they're basing their ideas off of emotion, and they're probably watching Instagram or some dumb TikTok where somebody doesn't know what they're talking about is saying it, and that feels good to them. So they repeat it because to them it makes sense. But if you're looking at truth, reality, data, there's nothing that confirms that at all or supports that at all. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep, that was good.
Any other question on rates?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
With it. Do you want to go? Do you want to go into the charts of kind of where to piggyback kind of off what you just said? The median list price you can see on this chart, literally from 2018 all the way till June, you could see the graph. So the rates, obviously, when we started to see a little bit of a dip, when they went back into the sevens, was right here. You could see my chart, right? And me moving.
Yep.
Sevens hit right here, right? So we saw the market kind of go drastically from 3% to 7% interest rates, and home prices dropped, right? So what happened it leveled off during the holidays, and now January and on is picking back up. As you can see, Tulane, to go kind of back into your conversation, how do you talk to your clients? I literally would just show them this chart and say, hey, look, interest rates have been hovering around, high fives into the sevens, and people are still buying homes and houses are still appreciating.
Right.
And you can see all the way from 2018. So pre-COVID, it was still, it's still been on the rise. No, we're not getting 20%, appreciation, but like Josh said, you're getting 2, 3, 5%. I mean, for example, like my house, my listing in National City, we have 32 offers and it's 96,000 over list. So it obviously it's going to depend neighborhood specific and, the condition of home, but house prices are still going up.
Right.
Which again, this is all of San Diego County. So I pulled that first, and then obviously we'll pull some zips up into 92008. So we'll do Carlsbad. So you can see the specifics. So it's trending down a little bit, but still hovering into a seller's market. Obviously, a buyer's market doesn't go until it hits the 30s. And I don't think we're even going to go into a buyer's market anytime soon, just because of the supply and demand. It's not there.
Right. What percentage do you think the houses appreciate or went up this year compared with
From January
winter last year, right? You know, when it leveled off. So like I've seen around 10% increase of pricing.
I would say probably 7 to 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Josh,
There's this thing, if I can jump in real quick, George,
Yeah.
there's this thing that I love. It's if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, you're not gonna believe how expensive to hire a non-professional, right? It's just talking about like construction world and the quality of the work. But it's the same thing. If you think it's expensive right now to buy a house, how expensive do you think it's gonna be when rates drop another 2 points? It's gonna be outrageous.
Yeah.
So buy.
I guess that's what's in question. People are not sure that the rates are going to drop.
I think at some point they're going to, because as you know,
I do too. Yeah.
Like Josh said, over history, it will drop. It's an ebb and flow. It may not drop. It's going to drop like a parachute, not like a mountain that goes straight down, but it's going to happen. It's inevitable.
Right.
But yeah, kind of like what you were asking, I think 7 to 10% from January, about December to till now.
Yeah.
That's what I've been seeing. Again,
Yeah.
you know, homes are overpriced, then they are sitting, but that's just because the agent didn't know how to price them.
Right.
So I think that also causes a false presentation of home prices dropping. That's not a home price dropping. That's a price reduction because it was overvalued to begin with.
Right.
So I think kind of like when people talk about recessions or people talk about home prices dropping, they're going from a list price perspective to it didn't sell at list price instead of looking at the market value.
Overall. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of conversations I've been having with my buyers is don't really look at the list price and price reductions. Look at my comps that I'm going to give you at market value.
Right.
And this is where the house should have been. Right. So I think that's a good conversation that we need to have with people. And then going to the other side is trying to get more listings. You need to really, and kind of like what Josh says, people with 2.5%, 3%, why would they want to sell?
Right.
Well, you got to hone in now, dig a little deeper and figure out the reasons why they're selling, right?
Mhm.
If somebody's moving to upsize, they're really not going to care about the rate of losing a 3% rate. They need to upsize. They had a kid. They have not enough space. They're going from a townhome to a single family home, a divorce. They're moving out of state. Any type of, job situation. They lost their job. They can't afford their payments. So now they're going to go rent.
Right.
I think those are, to go into that piece, everybody on this call that wants to dig into listings or get into listings or learn about it or get into that inventory, connect with the title rep. Have them run those reports on, the expired listings or divorces coming up or any type of event that's happened, in their life, which title reps can run those for you.
Right.
And I have been seeing expired listings. So houses that have been overpriced that you guys have been showing your buyers, think about going after them as a listing. Get the number, get the email, call the seller, see why it didn't sell, see if they were, unimpressed with their listing agent that they worked with, and try to get that listing.
Right.
Because I will tell you the last 2 years, there's been hardly any expired or canceled listings, but I have been seeing more since about September to now. So that's kind of a good way to go get some listings to try to increase your inventory for your buyers.
Love it.
That's good to know, George. I just yesterday did training on expireds and FSBOs. I did expireds years ago and it was great, but that was like 2016. I was saying to them though, I was like, I don't know, because I've been out of the loop. I'm not in the MLS every day or whatever. And it's like, are there even expireds there? Because one of my mentees wanted the training on it.
Yep.
So I supplied a bunch of scripts and stuff and all that. But
Yeah.
it's really good to know, because I was like, I don't even know. I would think that there wouldn't be that many expired. They're certainly not like they were in 2015, 2016, but they're out
No,
there.
They are out there again, though. I think starting when when the interest rates really hit, like July, August of last year is when I started seeing price decreases, expired listings, homes not selling because buyers were sitting on the sidelines. So what you really need to do is go back to those, because literally one that Taylor had a Zillow showing with yesterday, they had their condo listed last September and it just expired in April. So now we're going after it as a listing and then hopefully a buyer as well.
Yeah.
So you got to pull the tax records, obviously go after, see if they were expired, because sometimes expired listings then relist and have sold. So you
Right.
need, cross-reference, just don't go off of an MLS saying it's an expired. You need to double check with title to make sure they didn't relist it and sell it.
Yeah. And I supplied a bunch of Vulcan 7, Red X,
Yep.
Espresso Agent, all of those where you can get the phone numbers and stuff. And you might get 10 phone numbers to one property, but there's only one number that's actually legit, where the other ones are like, well, we lived there 10 years ago or something like that, but yeah. And even old expireds too, like really old ones, you never know. Like they might have like just rented them out or whatever, and you catch them at the right time. So
Right.
yeah,
So yeah, and in this type of market, obviously you got to go out and try to get as much listings as you can, because there's very bleak out there still.
yeah.
You will see more houses probably pop on the market now and in the summer for all those people that want to sell and move before school starts. But it's still not going to be to the number that we need it to be.
Yeah. Lauren, by the way, I just saw the chat. I did not record it, but I can send you, or I can just put it out on wherever, TBR, T-Mall or something. The slide deck that I did that has a lot of the information and stuff for you guys if you want it for expired stuff.
Cool. Then I kind of wanted to go into, Gary, can you put the seller tracing websites here? Okay. Did you see Rosie's question, Gary? You're muted, but I'm assuming that's a yes. All right, cool. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to go through, because I know we have agents on here from all different counties of San Diego. What are you guys seeing in your areas? So North County, from what I'm seeing at least, is the higher price point houses are taking longer to sell, even in this type of market, but homes anywhere between 650 and 900 are still selling fairly quickly. Anybody want to talk about South County, East County?
Yeah, for me in South, especially like Claremont all the way down, even the Chula Vista, I'm seeing everything under $1 million.
Yeah.
Go for 6 to 10 offers on everything. Yeah. Absolutely everything. It's like condos. We were in Escondido actually, and condos up there are going normally around 500, and they're going for high 5s, low 6s, condos.
Yeah.
In Escondido.
Wow.
It's a huge inventory problem is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are ones that have been upgraded and things like that, right? So people are getting wise, sellers are getting wise, knowing that, they've got to put it on the market in good shape. But even the bad shape ones are going over, because everybody's now open to, well, I'll just buy something a little cheaper and do my own fixing. I'll live in it and repair over time. So.
Cool. What about East County? I'm always curious out there because I don't venture out there much.
I've only done a couple out there. I don't know if anybody else has. Not as high, not as many offers, but it's nothing's going under list in East County. And it used to be that was the case. Like, hey guys, let's focus our search on East County since you're open to it, because we're not going to have to overpay. I can't say that anymore.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, so let's see. I know a few of the agents on here have been showing out in like Ramona or that area. Is that still? I know we brought it up last time as a question. I don't even know how to spell Ramona. Nope.
Ramona.
Yeah, I got it. Let's see. Okay, still a seller's market. Looks like it tweaked a little bit down, but not by much. So May to June looks like it went from like 929, 950 down to 930. So really not much change. I want to see if I can bring up.
Question, this is Wendy. Is this title report available just if you go to subscribe where you've got your
So we have this as through our team. So if you just go to the Hey Siri website, the password and login is at the bottom. So anybody on our team can access this.
Thank you.
Yep. So let's see, for National City. Yeah, so you can see the sweet spot basically is anywhere from 630 to 690. So we listed, that's funny. So the house that I listed, we listed it right at 629. And that's the median price of where the houses are being listed. And we're already at 725. So you can see kind of the tweaks there. It's starting to rise up again in National City. So that's basically all I got about the market. Does anybody else have any questions about the market? Anyone at Mastermind or talk about anything or objections you need to handle?
One thing to add to that, George, is just stories sell. So if you guys are connecting and everyone's telling their stories about what their listings went for or what their team's listings went for and how many offers were, submitted, give people a dose of reality through stories. It really does help. Try to convince certain people with numbers and stats and graphs. They don't take, not everybody likes numbers and graphs and stats, but they're more emotional and like stories. So telling them.
He's frozen, but we get the gist. He froze up at the end there, Josh.
Mr. Pink has faded to black.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
Did everybody miss that whole part?
We got the beginning about sharing stories, but then you froze after that.
Yeah. Okay. The gist of it was, not everybody likes graphs and stats and numbers and facts. Not everybody lives in that world. So using stories to get the point across is huge.
Yeah. I'll piggyback off that. A few of the listing appointments I've been going on, I shared the stories of how my recent listings have been going. And it's been kind of a no-brainer for them to say, okay, let's list our house. Once you tell them the stories of how the inventory is going. But then I'll say the opposite side. The last one that I just did, he wanted more statistical. He wants numbers because he's more an analytical person. So you kind of have to switch your gears and show him, okay, well, this is what's on the market in your neighborhood, on your street, what's selling, average days on market, the kind of buyer pool that you're going to have because they have tenants in place. So you do have to go through obviously the ins and outs of each scenario, but giving the overall view when you talk to them in the beginning, because they may not be aware. Most people aren't aware because like Josh said, all they do is see headlines, right? So, price is decreasing, terrible time to sell your house. But then when you share the stories of houses going over list price, 32 offers on a property, 100 people through on a weekend of an open house, then obviously that gets them more engaged.
Yeah. Here's another story too. And this is one that you guys can, having this one in the back pocket's great. Rent's never going to stop. And let's look at an average San Diego County home buyer in 2013 compared to the average renter in 2013. In 2013, the median home price was $402,500. If a buyer purchased that home with an FHA loan, the estimated monthly payment was $2,545. As the years went on, the homeowner was able to refinance multiple times and drop the mortgage insurance, reducing the payment down to $2,120 fixed for 30 years. Compare that to the renter. The average rent for San Diego County 3-bedroom home in 2013 was $2,175 per month. Now that average rent is $3,335. Giving examples, telling stories, it really helps.
Mike wants to know where you're reading this from.
These are all videos that I created and I'm going to be putting out. So I just made the scripts up myself and I just grabbed the information from just doing research online. But my point being is that it's so important to have these kind of numbers and these kind of stats when you're talking to people, because the people that respond to stats, and this one's a little bit, I mean, this hits the heart as well. Those are great. It's great information to share. Whoever buys now, they will. In fact, I'm going to share my screen. Can I share my screen really quick, George?
Yeah, let me stop sharing. Cool.
For anyone that thinks that rates are not going to go down, just look at this graph of 30-year fixed rate loans over the last 50 years, I believe it is. 1971, right? They go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like the whole, they just go up and down all the time. And when you see how this works, yeah, it was going down forever, and that's fine. It's artificially gone up because of horrible decisions made during COVID, because of a pandemic, right? And we're going to get this up and down effect. But as those numbers correct themselves, as those issues correct themselves, which they will, it's silly to think that rates are just going to continue going up and up and up and up. That's not how it works. They go up and down all the time. And you can see another situation like this back in the 80s where it spiked pretty drastically. And look how far down it came. Spiked drastically, look how far down it came. When you have these drastic events, there's usually a market correction on the other side. Now, when that's going to happen, who knows? But every single economic expert or industry expert, I should say, that we listen to, they're all calling for rates to drop. And I really think that we're going to get back down in the mid fours. And you just have to stress to people. I mean, if you think it's difficult to buy now, you know, are they just building a whole bunch of homes? Is that what's happening right now? They're building so many homes that we're going to have this excess amount of inventory soon. Not a chance. Rates, it's going to get even more competitive the lower rates drop.
Hey, Josh, something that actually just over the weekend I was thinking about, like with the lack of inventory and everything, and I feel like we're still in like the aftershocks of the crash, which what now, over 10 years now that it's been kind of done with the housing crash.
Yeah,
but
15 years.
From what I remember reading is builders stopped the first time in like 50 years, or maybe you told me, I don't know, I heard this somewhere, that they stopped building homes during that time period. They stopped, and that was the first time in 50 years. So we're going to be in a deficit of inventory for a while, and they say we don't know, we can't go beyond like 5 years, you know. So it's hard to say. So it's going to be a seller's market for a long time. Yeah. So it's weird. I mean, that was a pretty major crash, and we're still feeling the repercussions of it now, even this much later, you know?
Yep. And for you guys selling homes in 2019, what do we think? The buyers in 2019 thought it was easy to buy a home in 2019? No, it was hard then too. But they're stoked that they did, because 2020, 21, and 22, you know, values ripped and jumped up dramatically. So yeah, it's hard to buy a home. That's why it's called the American dream. If it was just the American easy, then everybody would do it, but it's hard.
Yep. And people are still buying houses every day. So that's the other thing that I keep harping on with other buyers is, if it's not going to be you, it's going to be someone else, because people are still buying houses. And I mean, we obviously have proof on our team because we have literally agents opening escrows every day, multiple a day. So people are still buying houses. It's not, you know, it all depends on, is it going to be your buyer? And that's kind of what you have to get to that buyer's head, is like, okay, so where do you see yourself in 3 years? If you're still renting, then you should probably buy a house now.
Cool.
Yep. I got nothing else. Anybody else want to talk about the market or
Do you
issues?
guys want to touch base on, I mean, obviously State Farm, like not insuring California, like a good way to discuss that with clients if they bring that up?
Yeah, so actually I just dealt with that right now. State Farm, your broker reps can still help you. What I was told by the rep that I've been going through is they are one of the last big companies to pull out of California. So it's not like, again, it's all clickbait on the internet, right? State Farm was one of the last big ones to pull out. But they can, obviously, as long as you have a State Farm broker rep, they can still help you get insurance through other insurance companies. And that's what just happened on my Rancho Campanero listing. The buyers were having an issue getting insurance. I connected them with our State Farm rep. The State Farm rep then brokered it out, got it insured, and now we're good to go. So it's, again, I think it's just from what I saw, it's because the replacement costs of the homes are becoming so high that insurance companies are pulling out. But there's always going to be insurance companies that will insure the properties. It's just going to be a little bit harder, and more work on our end to guide our clients to where to go. I
Yeah.
always tell them usually go to your car insurance first and try to bundle it and then kind of go from there.
George, on that one that you were able to get insurance for, do you remember how much it was, how much more expensive it was than maybe what the buyers were anticipating?
I have no idea. Again, it goes back to, okay, do you want to buy the house? Right? It's part of the cost of the home. And then I always tell them, get 2 or 3 quotes, because there are going to be companies that still insure, whether it's Liberty Mutual, if it's Geico, if it's USAA. This one specifically we had an issue because Geico was, they basically said they wouldn't insure it because there was an open claim on the property. But after talking to my sellers, we got a letter stating it wasn't an open claim. It was already closed from 2016. Geico, just even with that paper, they wouldn't insure it. So we had to go elsewhere, but we ended up getting it done. I would just probably prep your buyers that, the same thing is go through your car insurance, because typically those are going to be they give you discounts. Obviously, if you're showing high fire zone properties, make sure you talk to them about that, because the high fire zone areas are going to have high premiums on their insurances, and those insurance companies dwindled down to very few as well. If you guys want to take notes, one of the ones that I've worked with that insures almost every property so far is Farmers. Farmers Insurance has been great with any high fire zone houses. So if you're showing out in Ramona, Fallbrook, East Escondido, or Harmony Grove, you'll want to prep your clients for that, because some of those premiums can get pretty hefty. You're talking $6K to $12K a year.
Well, here's one right here, George. If you can hear me, not to cut you off. Remember, those California Fair Plans is what it's called as well, where they get the insurance directly from California.
Yep.
And here's one where it's a $700,000 property. And I'm looking at it right now. The premium's an extra $3,990 per year on top of the normal insurance, which is about $1,500 per year. So when you start looking in the rural areas, really make sure your borrower is talking to the loan officer about insurance. Make sure they're putting that into their debt to income ratio calculation and their monthly payments, because that'll kill a deal. All of a sudden, an extra $300, $400 for insurance, deal's gone. And you'd rather get that up front than later on down the road.
Yeah, I've seen some out in Fallbrook up into the 7,000. So it's going to depend, obviously, the area, what zone it is, the square footage of the house, your higher price point. So this one I was showing out in Fallbrook, I think was a 1.7. So obviously the high fire replacement cost for that's going to be higher. Harmony Grove, the newer builds out in that area of Escondido, you're looking at 6,000. It's in a fire pit area, even though that there's assessments and the fire station right there, they're still really high. So obviously those houses go anywhere from 950 up to, I think, 1.3. So adding that in, making sure your buyers know before you get out there. You don't want to put all the work in and then that kills your deal. And another negotiation tactic I've seen with that, though, is having the seller pay for at least half of it or the full first year. So you can also put that into your offers if it's not a crazy competitive market in that area. or if you've seen a house sit on the market for a bit, you know, some buyers are negotiating in first year fire insurance. So, yeah.
Cool.
And then I see Sherry's done talking. So good indicator. No. I was going to mention your name. Good indicator that buyers are still buying. Sherry's like killing Rocket right now with buyers. So obviously she's having the conversations with her clients to get them to write. So
I have to say, I think I just stepped in a little bit of doo-doo because I had a Rocket guy come in Friday.
Mhm.
8 a.m. Saturday morning, he texted me that he was going to see a home that he was visiting his daughter for the day last minute. He went to the open house, was like, I want to write the offer, but I
Yep.
want to go in at asking. And that's it. And I said, well, there's only 4, units for sale. What can we do to make your offer more attractive?
Yeah.
So we pulled all the contingencies. He actually waived an appraisal because he went in at asking. But it was the fact that I had the conversation with the agent, and the agent was like, well, my buyers bought it for their child who was in college, their child graduated. It's like, my buyers are in the same position. Their
Mhm.
child is going into college. They want to buy in this area. And I think that connection made them the winning offer.
Yeah.
That, and they had a really good down payment.
So what's
So we
that?
opened that escrow today.
Nice. So that's awesome. It goes back to, again, calling the listing agent, building the stories, you know, because even though it's not on paper, that listing agent most likely is going to share it with the buyer or the seller. Sorry. But yeah, I think, you know, just having the conversations, and obviously it's not going to be like 2021 and 2022 where you can just go out, write offers every first weekend and get them under contract. It's going to take a little longer. Let's see. I think we have 3 chats in here. Go Sherry, good info, good stuff. Awesome. Anybody else got any other questions before we hop off here? Questions, concerns, market questions, non-market questions, since we have a bunch of people on here?
So Josh and George, it's Mo. So excuse me, just hearing in the news, the commercial side, all the news that you hear being in trouble, is that going to affect rates on the residential side down the road or in the future that you can kind of see?
That's going to be a really, really interesting one. And I don't know how to answer that question. I could see it going either way, in the sense that it's bad, it's negative news. If you look at like San Francisco is at like 38% vacancy rates right now, with another 50% of their tenants coming due, their leases coming due at the end of the year. And that's starting to happen nationwide. These banks holding on to these loans, you can see how difficult it is. I know you guys are on the commercial side, but I've got buddies that are in the commercial lending side, and they said it's next to impossible to actually get a commercial loan right now. Like, the banks are just, not putting the capital out there. So the negative news side historically would cause rates to improve, right? But then I can see the other side, where if they're defaulting on all of these commercial loans, they have to do something with that commercial paper. Those are all treasuries and bonds as well. And I don't know what the sell-off of those treasuries and bonds would do to market conditions. So it's a great question, Mo. I don't know the exact answer to that one. Hopefully it doesn't get too bloody out there, but it doesn't look very good for the commercial side at all.
Hey, George, the broker that you mentioned earlier, are you referring to Alita?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Because we're dealing with that right now with our escrow and our clients. And so, yeah, we reached out to her, made that connection. So hopefully she can help us. Thanks.
Yeah, typically she'll just ask for buyer's name, birthdays, emails, I think phone numbers, and then she'll get working on it. But I haven't, and she also was able to help me with another property out in Dana Point that no other insurer was able to do. So far I've been 2 for 2 with her. So hopefully that continues.
Awesome. She literally just responded to the text. So perfect timing.
Yep.
I just have a reminder out for everybody, just when you're showing your clients, when you're taking the time to go out and show your clients these properties, make sure they know what their payments are. I know there's multiple lenders out there that will just tell their clients they're approved without going over monthly payments, or they won't understand what the real property taxes are. Like I know there's loan officers out there that will see that the property taxes currently on a property are $2,400, but that's from a seller who bought the property 20 years ago. Just make sure your client understands what their payment is, and also make sure that they've had a loan officer go over all their closing costs with them, because those are some super important points when they get all excited to go write an offer and then they hear the monthly payments for the first time. You just wasted a month, 2 months of your time carting this person around, meeting them at property, when they really had no idea what the monthly payments were.
And kind of to piggyback off that is make sure when they know the payments that there is everything included.
EITI, yep.
Because you want to make sure, well, not even just that, like talking about your closing cost, right? That's where you want them to compare lenders, because some lenders have big origination fees. They're not talking about buying down the rate. They may tell you your rate's 6.5, but really it's 6.5 with $10,000 more to the table.
Yep.
I've dealt with it multiple times. Josh knows. I mean,
We get that all the time.
literally daily. And your clients, if they're first-time home buyers, they don't know what they don't know. So if you don't tell them, they're not going to know, and they're only going to shop the one lender they went to because that's who their mom told them to go to. And, they could end up paying $20,000 to $30,000 more just to secure a house, where they could have built in that $20,000 to $30,000 and maybe gone up in purchase price. Or, it's those small things that kind of swing your deals for these clients in such a tough market. And I know I've had multiple conversations with people on this call through Rocket and other platforms of trying to navigate that. And I think it's been working because I've seen, more open escrows and hardly any have been falling out. So it should be good to go.
One more thing I'll add to this, you guys. There are first-time homebuyer programs out there, and this is a major thing. We have 2 clients got their offers accepted just this past week. One last week, one yesterday. And if their income is under the median income limit, let's say it's like $10,200 per month in San Diego County, and it goes by zip codes. We always got to know the zip code. They can get, if they're first-time home buyers and they're under the income limit, they can get a 0.5 point off their interest rates. Okay, we've got 2 in escrow right now under the program. So that's something that we're going to be looking at every single time. But if you know you have a first-time home buyer and they make like 80, 70, 100 grand, 110 grand a year, and they're telling you they're getting quoted rates in the 7%, that should not be happening. They should be taking advantage of these first-time home buyer programs. It's legit a 0.5 point off the rate. So send them on over if that's what you're not hearing.
Cool. All right. Anyone else before we hop off?
I just wanted to make sure I understood what Josh just said. That was based on income or just the fact that they were first-time home buyers?
First-time home buyers and income, both of those things combined.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's household income. So I mean, they could be a married couple, and as long as they make under, I believe it's like 122,000 a year in San Diego County, and it's different a little bit from pocket to pocket, but it's right around there. It's a 0.5 point. This is Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, 30-year fixed rate loan, a 0.5 point off the rate.
Okay, good.
Pretty
And
awesome.
just so everybody understands, when you say first-time home buyer, that's not necessarily that they've never owned a home before. It's like been 2 years, or what's that number in years?
Yep,
like
3 years.
3 years
And
since the last
as
owned.
long as
Okay.
one of the 2, let's say it's a married couple, and maybe one of the spouses owned a home in the past and the other one didn't, well, you still get to go off of the one that didn't. So it's great program. It's not used often. It's available to everybody. It's not like Josh and his lenders are the only ones that do it. If lenders are participating, then they can do it.
I think
But
that's
only-
my buyer that you guys have in escrow right now doing that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I think there's another one too. I think it was, I think I talked to Annabelle or
Taylor?
somebody's that you have with the first time home buyer.
We're like
Yeah.
Oprah. Everybody gets half point off.
Right? Sending them out.
And just like Gary said, my buyer, he's owned homes before, but it's been 3 years, so he qualified.
Nice.
Nice. Don't forget, maybe Ashley mentioned this because I got on a little late, but Josh will be in the office on Thursday after our team meeting. So those of you that are in onboarding, or even if you've already met with Josh, good opportunity to get some info.
You bringing food?
Crackers.
Hey, Josh, did you say that the income was 120 or under 100?
Let me get the exact number for you really quick. If anybody else has questions. See if I can get this for you real fast. Ba, 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 ba. Nope, I can't get it for 116,800. Sorry, 116,800. What does that break down to? 116,800.
Okay, thank you.
12, 9,733. And there's different pockets, Mike. So we always ask for the zip code. And if that way we can look it up by zip code too.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate everybody's time.
All right.
Always
Thank you,
give me
guys.
questions.
Thanks, George and Josh.
Yep.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
you guys.
gentlemen.
Later.
Have an awesome day. Talk to you all soon.